Hello everybody, welcome back to the Garage Clinic. If you've got a performance car or a classic car, or even been around car shows and hanging around them for long enough, you're very familiar with an Optima battery or an AGM battery. AGM just means absorbed glass mat. All that means is that the liquid that's inside the battery, rather than it just sitting in that plastic bucket of the battery waiting to leak out and ruin your car, the AGM battery has it trapped in the glass mat. Also allows you to mount the batteries in kind of a unique manner. You can put them sideways if you need to, so it's kind of cool. The problem is when those things get discharged, how do you charge them back up? Is it just slightly discharged or is it significantly discharged? I looked at Optima's website. Clearly they suggested you get one of their chargers, and this probably is the best thing to do because they've got algorithms in there that it'll actually test your battery, it knows what kind of battery it is, and it'll charge it up appropriately. What I've run into is, I'm kind of the old guy around here, so all my battery chargers are automatic chargers, and it doesn't really know how to react to the AGM battery. So, gotta run into a challenge here. Inside the AGM battery has a lot less resistance than the batteries that we're used to. So when we put these old chargers on automatic, if it drops below 10.5 volts, mine's at 9.5 right now and it's actually still working. But I ran into an issue a while back when it was even below that, and I hooked my charger up to it. The charger thought the battery had shorted out, so it was in its protection mode, clicking in and out of charge. It's very easy to feel like, hey, I've got a bad battery, I just need to throw this one away and go get a new one. That's not always the case. According to Optima, they can recover one of these batteries down to 1.5 volts. That's pretty amazing. A regular car battery, you'd never be able to get that battery back. But these are a little bit different. But you do have to do something a little bit different with these. So, you may have heard of this before, but I wanted to tell you anyway. Mine's at 9.5 volts. If my battery charger is clicking in and out, what we have to do is we have to artificially provide the battery charger with the correct internal resistance that it's expecting to see. The way we do that, we take a good battery, which I've got a pair of jumper cables hooked up to a traditional style battery. Hook those cables up to the AGM battery terminals and then run the charger on that. At that point, the battery charger sees the internal resistance from the traditional battery and starts providing what it thinks is a charge for that battery, which is actually going into your AGM battery. So if you need to do this, here's the order that you need to hook these things up. All right, got my jumper cables. Like I said earlier, the other end is already hooked up to the traditional battery. Hopefully you know which way to hook these up. Positive to positive, negative to negative. So now we have the traditional battery hooked up to the AGM battery. Now, take the leads from the charger and hook those up to the AGM battery. Now that we've got that hooked up, time to turn the charger on. If before your AGM battery was kicking on and off, if you do this and the battery charger starts charging normally, you got a shot at saving that battery. I was at just under 9.2 volts. I'll let this sit like this for about an hour, come back and we'll check it again. I know for you it's only been a couple of seconds, but for me it's been about an hour. So we're gonna go take a look and see what kind of condition our battery is in. Disconnect the battery charger so it's no longer charging. Remove the jumper cables. So now the AGM battery is sitting there on its own, by itself. I'm going to see what the voltage, we'll set this to 12 volts and see what kind of voltage we're showing in the battery now. Okay, at the moment it's showing 11.97 volts, so this thing is nearly charged up. With the older charger, with the automatic system, it should be just fine now to charge this battery up to at least what it can do. So I'm going to plug it back in. According to the gauge, it's still charging at about 10 amps. You want a battery charger that's limited to maybe 15 amps maximum. However, this one is 10 to 12. The battery could get warm to the touch, shouldn't be hot. Warm is okay, hot is not. If you start hearing this thing outgassing, which is it's not going to be loud if it does it, but if you hear a little hiss from the battery, you need to stop charging it. You may have a problem inside that battery, or you may have an incompatible battery charger. So we're going to let this go now for probably another hour and see what we can get from it. Well, as you can see, right now we've charged the battery up to 12.21 volts. I actually took it off the charger after that last hour we were talking about and let it sit overnight just so the battery could normalize so I can know exactly where it's at. So what I'm going to do at this point is put it on a trickle charger so it'll take it up to its full charge, and then maybe we'll have a surprise for you later on. Okay, well, now that we know where our voltage is on the battery, let's hook the charger back up and see what it does. So the battery was at 12.2 volts. You can see that the charger is telling me now it charges at 5 amps and then says it's fully charged. 5 amps, fully charged. But Optima tells us that that battery is supposed to be at 12.6 to 12.8 volts. So we either have a problem with the battery or the chargers are just incompatible. We've got it almost there. Is that as good as we can get it? Or let's try this. Put it on manual. And now we're sitting at charging for 5 amps. Let's let this sit for a while and see what happens. We need to get, I won't be happy unless we get this thing to 12.6 volts. So as you can see here, we're running at about a little over 3 amps, maybe 4 amps of charge. And I can hear the battery creaking a little bit. So let me let this sit for about 30 minutes, as long as the battery doesn't get warm or hot. All right. Now let's check what we have. Terminal to terminal. And we're sitting at just shy of 12.7 volts. 12.6 to 12.8 is a fully charged battery. So looks like we've got this thing rebuilt and good to go. So let's go over this one more time. At the beginning, we had an AGM Optima battery that was at 9.5 volts. I didn't have a proper factory recommended charger, so looked to see how we could charge it using the stuff I already had. Well, this is all of that. Had to have a decent battery, good set of jumper cables to hook it up to the AGM battery, and a good charger. I can tell you this one is more of a battery maintainer. It didn't do a very good job. It did not like what it was seeing from the AGM battery, so it really wasn't all that useful. This charger, which charges at 10 to 12 amps, actually did a pretty decent job, and it got the battery almost all the way there. But after this one said it was finished, I had a little nagging thought in the back of my head whether it was actually done or not. So I got online and started looking around at if anyone locally had the Optima charger. I found one. I was able to purchase it online, which saved me $24, and picked it up locally just to see, because I mean that's the reason we do these videos, is it really necessary to buy the stuff that the factory recommends? Are their recommendations kind of over the top? So I went and picked up this one, which is the Optima 400 charger. Very compact, but it's got a lot of really cool features which made it look great. Pardon me, I put my glasses on. Up here you've got an LED gauge that tells you whether it's from 0, 25, 100% in 25% increments. It's got a very cool LCD screen that tells you precisely what's happening. It gives you the voltage that you're charging at, the amperage that you're charging at. You can choose what kind of battery you're charging. You can charge the flooded battery, like a normal battery, what we would expect to be a normal battery, Whether it's an automotive or marine or a motorcycle or an ATV kind of style battery, you can choose a deep cycle charge for an AGM deep cycle charge, or you can charge a regular car AGM battery. It's also got a feature on here that says battery pre-charge status. What I really like about this is that at the very beginning, as soon as you hook it up, this charger tests the batteries to check its state of charge. What I found out after these chargers and that little trick told me that that battery is fully charged, this one came up and on the LEDs showed 75% charge. Now, I have no idea where it was between 75 and 100, but clearly it was not at 100. And I can tell you for the last hour and a half, it's been charging it at 1.1, 1, and then dropped down to 0.8 amps, but at 14.3 volts. And it's still not 100% charged yet. So I think this battery charger is going to bring back that battery probably to 100% state of charge. One of the interesting things about this that I haven't mentioned yet is that I was able to buy that Optima battery at a local supplier because it had been sitting on the shelf for a long time and they just wanted to get rid of it. It was a $200 battery. I think I paid $65 for it. So if I can get this charger and that battery for less than what a battery would have cost, this would be magnificent, really worth the price of admission. However, it's amazing to see that this charger is actually worth the money. The charger, should you go buy the proper charger for an AGM battery? I think the answer to this is an absolute heck yeah. So yeah, I'd highly recommend that. Now, a couple of other features: you can hang this on the wall. It's got a cool hook. You can hang it off the hood latch. It's got an eyelet plug where you hook the eyelets up to the battery permanently, and as you pull in your garage, you can just plug it into the wall charger. This also will not allow you to hook well, it protects itself if you hook the leads up backwards. It compensates for temperature. If you're in an environment that's actually hot, it'll adjust its charge for that. You can leave this hooked up to your battery all the time. If you leave this hooked up to the battery for 30 days and you haven't disconnected it or have to recharge or whatever, it'll go back into battery recondition mode. Batteries collect sulfates on the plates over time. This will go back, discharge it a little bit, recharge it, work its magic. I'm not sure what's in its algorithm, they don't tell me that, but this charger is just head and shoulders above the trick for getting it done. So if you've got a discharged AGM battery, you can bring back a lot of it. But if you want it right, go get the right stuff. I started this video thinking, what a waste of time this probably would have been. We can do it with the chargers that are sitting around. I was wrong. Go get the right stuff. Thank you. I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.